Thank you for joining us. Welcome to another iTWire video interview with top Australian business executives. Today we are with Rob Holliday. Hi, Rob.
Hi.
He is the managing director of Sitecore. Now, please tell us, and this is a long question, sorry for this, but when did Sitecore start, and then when did it come to Australia? And just to add to this question, how have its offerings evolved since launch? Because clearly things would have changed over time. Who are some of your customers today, and what are the features and benefits that you're offering to them?
Sure. Okay. So Sitecore started in 2001 in Denmark, in Copenhagen, and we opened up an office in Australia in 2007. We started really with the basis of really managing the content around websites as a web content management solution. And then from there, the offering evolved to really enhance the digital marketing capabilities of that. So we added features like analytics and personalization to the core solution. And from then, we've made some small acquisitions, and we've really built out a comprehensive digital marketing platform that allows our customers to be able to manage their marketing presence across multiple different channels. So from print to social to mobile to e-commerce to web, that has allowed our customers really to create a much more consistent cross-channel experience for their customers and ultimately drive conversions and sales.
So obviously they know their customers a lot better. They can track them in various ways. And so who are some of the customers that you're happy to talk about in Australia?
So some of our key customers, we've got about 300 customers across multiple different verticals. So some that come to mind are, automotive sector. We've got Nissan and Kia. In membership organisations, we have CPA Australia. Utilities, there's AGL Energy. We also have quite a few media sites, so Network 10, 9MSN, and then some sporting organisations like Cricket Australia. And they're all quite mature digitally, and they're really doing some very interesting things with the platform.
And just as I think about it, are there any sort of headline stats about how much your technologies help them to boost sales or to keep customers or acquire new customers that you can sort of just reel off?
Sure. It varies by customer, obviously. I think we've got some very interesting stats on Australian Super. So Australian Super, have implemented the platform and really drove a lot of their members to do a lot more things online. So their customer acquisition has gone up quite significantly, their traffic has gone up significantly, and the amounts of customer self-service has gone from something like 40% up to like 98%.
Which they'd be very happy about.
Yes. Yeah. No, so they're very happy, a very mature customer that really can exploit the platform to its full advantage.
Yeah, well, people want instant gratification if they can help themselves, and as opposed to having to ring and wait for a call center. People want to do that. That's part of the reason why Google's so successful. Just ask the question and there it is. No need to go to the library as we used to when we were kids. Now, what do you see as some of the trends within digital marketing in Australia and New Zealand today? It's obviously evolved, but here we are nearly end of 2014, 2015.
Yeah, it's a very interesting industry. We see that the spend's moving from offline to more of a digital spend, and customer experience has become a much more focused area for most leading organisations, as they realise that organisations that focus on providing exceptional customer experiences really are market leaders in the world. So organisations in Australia are starting to adopt that and really starting to use some of the digital tools that you can use today to be able to create more engaging experiences, more consistent experiences, learn a little bit more about what their customers want so they can provide a much more one-to-one type experience. So we've actually just commissioned a report, this one here, which is Emerging Trends. This is the second version of this report, and we did this last year as well.
I'll put a link on the website for people who want to download it. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, and it's quite interesting. We've seen that there's quite a big trend towards organisations that are looking to profile their customers a lot better, and then provide some marketing automation as well to increase those conversions and to provide much more consistent experiences.
Now, they all sound like elements of digital success, but what else constitutes digital success in Sitecore's books?
Digital success, I think, is really it all comes down to understanding your customers. So what we've done is we've just recently launched what we call XDB, which is it's like a combination of analytics and customer management. So what we can do is we can really understand the customer, understand all their interactions that they might have with you across different channels and devices, and then be able to use that to provide a much more tailored and personalized experiences, both on the website, on mobiles, on emails, and then in print and social as well. So, I think, that's the key for digital success, is really understanding the customer is the key thing. And a lot of organizations today have a disparate set of tools to manage customer information. So they might have a CRM system, they might have an email system. And our goal is really to provide a unified system that allows you to manage all those interactions across different channels to be able to deliver better experiences.
Sure. I mean, it sounds like the ultimate evolution of the whole direct marketing thing, where you knew if you sent out direct marketing piece, you get 1 or 2% response, but now it seems to have switched the other way, where you can get tremendous response. It's a little bit like the whole advertising ad age as well. 50% of it's wasted, but which 50%? But we seem to finally move beyond that world. I mean, it must be a marketer's dream.
We're getting there. I think there's still a lot of offline channels that people use as well, which are maybe a bit harder to quantify. But we are seeing some interesting sort of technology that maybe helps quantify TV spend and print spend as well.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a mix. It's not only going to be digital marketing.
Sure. It's not a digital utopia yet.
Not quite yet, but it's getting there.
Now, you mentioned before about how a lot of spend is going towards digital, but there have been predictions that online spending would have surpassed offline spending by now. Yeah. But does your research support this?
No, not as yet. We still find
bricks and mortar is still pretty strong.
Yeah, so the offline, the TV and print and outdoor and events are still occupying probably the majority of the spend. But really what we see is that there's been increase in spend in digital. So the momentum is shifting towards digital, and primarily because I think marketers appreciate it for being a much more quantifiable channel, which is a good and a bad thing for marketers. Yeah. But it really allows the ability to justify, I guess, the marketing department's spend to the C-level executives.
And of course, we're all carrying around the smartphone equivalent of laptop power that would have been unimaginable a few years ago in our pockets, and it's just there. But that hasn't really for me, having grown up with technology and having old-fashioned computers back in the late 70s. I mean, it's quite an amazing thing to have a smartphone in your pocket that is a billion times more powerful. But we all take it for granted now.
We do, and I think everything has changed over the last, I guess the smartphone's been around for 7 years now.
Yeah, well, the iPhone era smartphone, yeah.
Yes. It was Blackberries before that, I
Yeah,
guess.
Nokia's.
But yeah, so everything has changed, and I think, consumer behaviour has changed, people are shopping a lot more off their phone and doing a lot more research on their phone. So I guess the challenge, for marketers that we try and assist with is the ability to kind of interact between different devices and understand that it's one consumer that maybe is on their laptop, maybe doing a purchase, but maybe doing some research on the couch, or is watching a TV show and then also doing some research. So how can we interact with all those channels and start to understand the effectiveness maybe of a TV advert, the effectiveness of online adverts, and then how we can create purpose-built experiences for mobiles. So people have different behaviours on mobiles, and they may be in different stages of the buying cycle. So
sure, and I'm sure it's different for phones and tablets, different types of mobile.
Exactly.
Well.
Yeah.
Now, there's this big trend that I hear about called gamification, and we were chatting just before we started filming, and I understand you had your recent annual customer partner and prospect conference on September 30 at the Sydney Hilton. It was called TrendSpot. Now, how did you use your own technology to engage attendees with this new gamification trend in ways that transform the typical conference experience, which I'm not saying yours were boring, but often people think conferences be boring. And also you were telling me that you gave people very unexpected advice about their mobile phones.
Sure. So, I think really what we tried to do in our TrendSpot conference was really to engage people on a much deeper level and illustrate how we can use the technology to be able to do personalization. So we did a few different things. So we had a mobile website that was really quite simple to be able to manage the conference itself and manage a personalized schedule of which sessions you might want to see.
Which people have apps now for that sort of thing. That's
all fairly standard.
Yeah.
And what we added to that was the ability for people who are doing keynotes to actually push content to people's mobiles during their keynote. So they could push maybe a quote or their LinkedIn profile, and it was a kind of an interaction with a speaker in the audience that I haven't seen anyone do yet.
So what was your advice to people because you were one of the keynote speakers?
Yes, well, I just had, one of mine was my LinkedIn profile, and then the other one was.
But what was your advice to as you got up on stage?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we started the conference by saying that in most conferences we tell you to turn off your mobile phone, but in this conference we want you to keep it on because people do anyway. So we really wanted people to engage. And then the other thing we did is, as people registered, we asked them to fill out a survey. That survey was quite a fun, cheeky survey with some random questions in there that added you to a particular persona. So we had different personas for our networking drinks. So we had a sports bar persona and a clubber persona and a trendy wine dweller persona and a couple of other personas.
And people could join the different teams, or they were assigned?
So they were assigned based on their survey results, a particular persona, and so they had that persona throughout the day. And then we had these individual networking drinks that were sponsored by our implementation partners, and they were all quite unique rooms, and you could mingle between the rooms, and it was quite an interesting way to do networking. Then the other thing we did was we used some of the Beacon technology, and we created 2 games. And these games were really a geocaching game that encouraged attendees to explore the exhibition site.
So like a treasure hunt?
Like a treasure hunt, yes, exactly. So using Beacon, using their phone, having to answer questions, and then we put on a prize of a Surface Pro.
And did they have to go and talk to various exhibitors?
Yes, so it gave them that opportunity and gave the exhibitors the opportunity to interact with the crowd, and it was really quite fun. So quite a few people actually got into that part of the day and were. It was very unique. I haven't seen a conference do that before, so it was really interesting that we were able to pull that off. And it was quite exciting.
And so, I mean, obviously, people were thrilled and were excited. But what were people talking about? When they were discussing this, you were overhearing people going, "Wow, I haven't seen this before." What were some of the reactions?
Well, I think it was the first time a lot of people had actually seen Beacon in action.
Yep.
So we've heard a little bit about it, and it's kind of fringe technology really at the moment. Some of the more advanced retailers are starting to use it, but it is quite fringe. So it was I think interesting for people just to see it in action, and start to interact and how it could be possibly used for that use case of an event. And
in a way, this was essentially a live demonstration of your own technology in use, engaging your own customers, which is what you want these people to do with their customers.
Exactly. So we used analytics behind that to be able to understand what people were doing throughout the day, where they were in the actual conference as well. So there were some quite nice sort of stats we came up with at the end, and we got a lot of social mentions out of it as well, which was quite nice.
And what were some of those stats?
I think we had 1 beacon stolen, which was interesting.
That's an interesting stat.
Yes,
I loved it so much they wanted to take it home.
That's the one I remember. I'm not sure why people would steal a geolocating device.
They want to try their own thing at home or something, I don't know.
But we had about 900 tweets. And,
sure. I mean, it might not have been one of the attendees anyway. It could have been anybody that,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think we did track them down in the end. But no, it was good. We had very high level engagement, a high level energy in the room, which was really good.
They probably thought it was part of the treasure hunt, part of the treasure.
Right.
So switching gears just a tiny bit, not really, but what's the reality of big data in practice? We hear all this about big data. So what's the reality from your point of view?
I think organisations maybe are struggling with that at the moment, because in reality, as most organisations have multiple areas that they store data. So in organisations we talk to, they have a CRM system perhaps, and they've got an email marketing system, they have Excel, they have a whole bunch of information, and to be able to coordinate all that together is quite challenging.
Yeah.
So what we've done to be able to provide a solution for that is we've just gone to a big data analytics store, which we call an XDB. It's based on technology called MongoDB, and it really allows you to store infinite amount of data. So what you can do is you can take data from website interactions, mobile interactions, maybe e-commerce transactions, maybe CRM transactions, maybe something that happened in your call center, combine those together to be able to get that single view of customer. So, you know, we're starting to roll that out in Australia now, and you know, there's some very leading organisations that are looking at that and how they can leverage that to be able to optimise their digital spend and to increase conversions and sales.
And obviously you're using it yourself to manage all of your customers. Yeah, I mean, that's that old dog food thing, which turns out to be quite tasty apparently,
Yes.
depending on the company, of course.
Exactly.
So what do you see as a trend within the e-commerce and customer experience management sectors?
Sure. So, you know, we see that those two sectors are intersecting at the moment. So traditionally, you've had, you know, an industry sector that's just been devoted to e-commerce, and they really haven't been good at managing content, and they haven't been good at analytics or personalization or optimization. But they've been very good at the kind of transactional side and maybe integration to point of sale and back-end ERP systems. So we're seeing an intersection of those two, where e-commerce vendors are looking for much more sophisticated management of the customer experience, as well as having all that nice e-commerce functionality and maybe merchandising and back-end integration and point of sale integration that they need. So we're seeing the intersection of those two industries. We've made an acquisition last year of a commerce product called Commerce Server, and now we're integrating that into our core product and, you know, are releasing that to the market. So, you know, we see those two things interacting because I think organisations are really after, you know, much more engaging experiences. So much more of the Amazon type experience that, you know, is highly personalised.
And which helps them to fend off Amazon too, doesn't it?
It does, which Amazon will be here shortly. So
yeah.
It is it's obviously a key motivator.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, goodbye business, and it all just gets Amazon.
Yes.
So, do you have any final messages, not just for iTWire readers, but your current and potential customers?
Yeah, I think it's an exciting world of digital marketing. You know, that's why I'm in the industry.
Never been more mature, and still so much growth yet to go.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of flux at the moment. There's a lot of changes, and there's a lot of channels being created, and there's a lot of tools to manage these channels. And I think marketers really struggle with, you know, all the different tools. So, you know, our philosophy is to create that single tool set and that single platform that you can manage all these different channels. And really, you know, there's channels being developed every day. So, you know, Pinterest wasn't around like 2 years ago, wasn't very popular. Now, you know, Snapchat's here, and Tumblr, you've got, you know, Facebook, LinkedIn, there's, you know,
Plus.
Yeah, there's so many.
And there'll be a new one next week.
There will. So, you know, it is a challenge, and so, you know, what we aim to do is really to provide that, you know, unique sort of view of that customer by combining all that data into one, you know, customer record. So, you know, you can really look at a customer's record and see how they've interacted with you as a business, and you can use that analytics to be able to then, you know, do much more segmented and targeted personalization and promotions. So you know, I guess the message is it's an interesting world. It's evolving very rapidly, but it is exciting, and like there's, you know, quite a consolidation happening with the industry. So, you know, I think a lot of customers are really you know, quite appreciative of the message of one platform rather than integrating all these kind of bespoke solutions together.
Sounds like simplifying complexity.
Exactly.
Okay, right.
It's always good.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.